Okay, I know I've got a lot of videos at this point on my channel and a lot of articles on my website. If you've never been to my website, it's hottubownerhq.com, and there's a ton of information there as well. However, I know that despite all of that information I've been putting out over the last few years, there is still a lot of confusion about hot tub maintenance and what to do daily, weekly, monthly, quarterly, etc. So I'm going to break it down for you very, very simply in today's video. First of all, just know that I don't usually do anything in my hot tub on a daily basis. What I do is test the water every time I get out of my hot tub and make any adjustments that I need to make. Truth be told, I haven't actually been in here in a couple weeks, haven't actually tested it. So let's do that right now and see what it looks like. So I always do that with these handy test strips. I like the Poolmaster 4-way test strip. Don't particularly like that dog though. I'm going to dip it in for about 2 seconds. I'm going to take it out. I'm going to shake off the excess. And then I'm just going to kind of hold this test strip up to here. As you can see, the bromine/chlorine levels are non-existent. Alkalinity is pretty low and pH is pretty low also. So we know we need to adjust all of those things basically. Now, typically I find that pH and alkalinity don't usually fluctuate that much unless there's been a lot of extra heavy usage. So it is unusual to me to see those levels down. So I've got pH increaser as well as alkalinity booster. Now, it's worth pointing out that any chemical you add to raise or lower both pH or alkalinity is going to affect the other one. So I don't want to be too heavy-handed with either one of those because I know that the pH is going to affect the alkalinity and vice versa. So let's do the alkalinity booster first, then the pH. I'm going to turn the jets on, which means I need to turn the power on because I usually turn that off when making my videos. Going to let that circulate. I won't leave it on for too long because it will be noisy for the video though. So alkalinity booster is going to be first. I've been using this brand because this company sent me a bunch of their products for me to test. And I did do a video where I walk you through everything that I saw and experienced in using their products. If you want to check that video out, it's right up here on my channel. But I'm going to start by putting probably since it was relatively low, I'm going to kind of fill this cap with this product. Maybe not all the way though. You can see about like that. You could measure it. I don't usually do that though. I usually eyeball it, which could get me into trouble theoretically, but so far it's worked relatively well for me. And then I'm going to go ahead and add the pH increaser. Now that's a powder. This is a liquid. Again, because alkalinity and pH interact with one another, I'm not going to be super heavy-handed with this. It's also worth pointing out that turning on the jets will naturally aerate the water and slightly increase the pH anyway. So I'm going to go kind of light with this, but I am going to just kind of sprinkle it in, about like that. We can always add more, but if you overdo it, you've either got to top it off, drain off a little bit, or just allow time to naturally lower it. So you don't want to do that if you don't have to. But let's turn the jets on now and kind of get that circulating. I'm not going to bore you, but I am going to pause the camera, wait a few minutes, and then we're going to test it again and see where the levels end up. Okay, I've allowed it to circulate for a little while. Ideally, you want to do that for 20 minutes. I cut it short a little bit of that just for the sake of recording this video. Now we're going to dip a test strip in again and see how we're looking. You'll also notice that there's a little bit of foam on the surface of the water, and we can use a net to scoop that out. We can also add something to get rid of the foam as well. But let's check this first. The alkalinity is still maybe a hair low because it's kind of in between those two. And the pH is actually looking pretty good, almost a little on the high side. So we don't want to add any more pH increaser for sure. We could add a little bit more alkalinity increaser, but again, we run the risk of it pushing the pH up too high, and we don't want that. That's not good to soak in. But let's add a little bit more alkalinity booster, just a little bit. Before you saw how I added like most of a capful, I'm probably going to do about half of that amount. With this foam, I can use this net to kind of like scoop and toss it over the side. It naturally is starting to dissipate because a lot of the time it's just the aeration that comes from the jets that we're running. But we definitely can add some of this water defoamer. And again, this is a liquid like the pH increaser. I'm just going to kind of add that. Again, I probably added about a 1/4 cup there. And now let's turn the jets on again and see where we end up. Okay, you do notice that the foam is all gone, although the water is a little bit cloudy, but that should clear up here in the next few seconds since I just turned the jets off. So let's test this again and see how the alkalinity is looking. I actually think it's still a little bit on the low side, but we're also getting into danger zone with the pH again. So I'm going to hold off on doing anything else right now until we get the other levels balanced. We know we need to add sanitizer, which can be either bromine or chlorine. That can either be powder, liquid, or tablet. I do bromine tablets in a floater, but I actually looked and I'm actually out. So I don't have a way to add any of those in. What I am going to do though, since it's time to shock the hot tub anyway, I'm going to add hot tub shock, which should raise those levels. And again, since I'm out of sanitizer, I'm going to be a little heavy-handed with this, probably about that much. The other thing that I'm going to do is I was recently given this by Matt over at Swim University. He sent me a bunch of his products to test out. I did a review video, and if you want to check that out, look for that card right up here on the screen. And I walked you through everything that he sent me because it's really cool of him to send me that. And he had some really great products that he just came out with under the Swim University name. You've probably seen his amazing YouTube channel. But this is a weekly hot tub cleanse. This is designed to be added to your hot tub once a week in addition to everything else that you do. And this you add a very small amount, not even quite a capful really. He points it out on here that if you do too much, you could end up with some foaming issues, which I did in the review video that you may have seen. So I'm gonna go kind of light. Again, not even a full capful. Just toss that in. And I'm again gonna turn the jets on, circulate everything so we can test it again. All right. Dip a test strip in. I think alkalinity and pH are looking pretty good. My bromine levels are almost good, but still a little bit low. So I can add a little bit more shock, but ideally I would just go get some more bromine tablets tomorrow for my floater, and that will take care of everything. Now, that covers what I would do on a weekly basis, really. I don't really do that on a daily basis. Like I said, normally when I use the hot tub, I dip a test strip in when I get out. I make minor adjustments, and that's especially true if I've been using it on a regular basis, which I haven't been. And then it's good to go the next time I'm ready. Then once a week, I add hot tub shock. And you saw how much shock I added a minute ago. That's probably too much if you are indeed adding it every week. I went heavy-handed, both because I haven't done it in a couple of weeks and because I was out of sanitizer. But normally you do maybe a quarter cup at most of hot tub shock once a week. That can be chlorine shock or non-chlorine shock. And whether you use chlorine or non-chlorine and bromine sanitizer or chlorine sanitizer, it doesn't really matter. I tend to find the water is clearer if I use chlorine-based shock, but that one I added just now actually was non-chlorine-based shock because I'm out of the chlorine one that I usually use. Now, that covers all of the normal maintenance. There's, of course, filter maintenance. I have a lot of videos about filter maintenance, so I'm not covering that in today's video, but you can check out this video right up here. You'll see a card for it on the screen if you want to dive in deep on filter maintenance. The next thing that I do is I get rid of biofilm when I'm getting ready to drain my hot tub. And I do that about every 3 months or so. I'm going to be doing that very, very soon, probably in next week's video or the week after. Normally what I do is I put about 8 ounces of this in my hot tub. This is called Oh Yuck Healthy Hot Tub Cleaner. And I let that circulate for 1 hour. The jets typically time out after 15 minutes. So I have to restart the jets manually to let the whole thing go for 1 hour. However, I mentioned Swim University earlier, and one of the products that Matt sent me was this. Swim University Hot Tub Detox, which is basically the same thing. Now, this is only 2 ounces, so it must be highly concentrated compared to that. He also says to only let this circulate for 20 minutes. So that's great because that means I can get going in the hot tub again that much faster. So I'm going to be using this in the next video that I shoot where I demonstrate how to use this as well as draining my hot tub. But I do that every single time I drain my hot tub to make sure I get rid of biofilm. It's kind of a slimy mess inside the plumbing and equipment of your hot tub that is a breeding ground for bacteria. And you don't want that. And unless the biofilm is really bad, you'll never actually see it because it lives inside the plumbing and equipment, not on the surface of the water. So you might have biofilm and not even know it. So it's a great idea to get rid of it or to prevent it every single time you drain your hot tub. So that's why I use this every time. And I'll be trying out this one the next time. So it's a great idea to do that. And if you're not sure about the dangers of bacteria in your hot tub, I want you to watch this video on my channel that I published very recently, where I walk you through all of the dangers and the preventative steps to get rid of it.